Hello, it's me, Natalia, broadcasting to you from the rocket ship, spaceship, in the castle. Believe it, it's really true. So, I'm here to do a video about something that I've actually been feeling pretty much for the last 10 years. So this video is about my 30s. My 30s? From 30 to 39, I'm 39 right now, my 30s were not what I expected. When I was in my 20s, I had a whole other thought about what I'd be like in my 30s. So even though I thought in my 30s I was going to be really successful with a career and perhaps get married and buy land, start a orchard, things like that, to me, that was one aspect of success, an outer aspect of it. But my 30s ended up showing me that I'm successful in healing myself, healing my life, because, well, I'll tell you. Well, first I'll give a bit of a preliminary. In my 20s, I spent my time, exploring myself, exploring who I was, discovering myself, finding my thing, my way, my flavor, my style, and I also had ulcerative colitis, so I was a woman in her 20s with this treacherous illness, so I was, finding myself and living with an illness at the same time, which was really distorted, I must say, to a degree, but not always, and that led me into also in my 20s, there was a very strong, long period that came into my rest of my life, is just finding my way with healing naturally, because the ulcer, led me into that. That was the beginning of the healing journey to that degree, and that led me into also in my 20s being a successful raw vegan chef, because that was healing me, and it also became my occupation at the same time. Good 2-in-1, 2-in-1, 2 for 1, woohoo! Save your life and have a career, 2-in-1. A preliminary to that is, after 7 years old, I would say, there were times in my preteen years where I endured severe abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, family-related abuse, issues that went on a concentrated every day amount of time for, I would say, years. A good 4-year bracket, and then a good 10-year bracket of a whole other kind. So long-term suppression of feelings and enduring of abuse, which was the ulcer, a part of that related, of course, because of the stress. So after dealing with so many years of abuse, and then being ill, there was a lot of stuff compounded together. So, in my 20s, I did heal from the ulcer. I became this raw food chef, and I was so good at it. I'm still good at it. I'm so good at it, and it healed me, and I was just so happy, and I was feeling so successful in my career, and living in Hawaii, and going from one island to another, and then my 30s came, and where I thought I was going to continue with my career, and I did, a whole other agenda took over. When I was 30, I was ready to embark on my career as a raw food chef. I really wanted to travel. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to make films. I wanted to sing. And those were my plans. Accomplishing that to me was my idea of success. And so that was my aim. And even though I was very career-oriented and I was making my aim in that direction, and I made really great efforts in those directions, and things did happen here and there and here and there, though it never completely took off in full flight. There was always something that I needed to deal with, which is what I'm going to get into. So I had this deeper, nagging feeling, this calling within my soul, this feeling in my body, this tug that I was feeling physically and spiritually, where I really wanted to spend a lot of time by myself. And I wanted to spend a lot of time at home alone, And, I just healed from the ulcer, and, yet I was still uncomfortable in a certain way, and I knew that there was more that I needed to heal and deal with, And I really, all that time that I could get for myself, I relished it. I loved it. It nourished me. It was ecstasy, and I needed that time to reflect and let go of a lot of deeply rooted influences from those concentrated years of abuse. If you're dealing with, in my case, I was dealing with abuse on a daily basis for many, many years. Dealing with that really influenced me in a really low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-love, not knowing how to love or take care of myself in the most deeply amazing way, how to love and look out for myself. But then that nagging feeling was me needing to heal the emotional patterns, the mental states, the beliefs, and the way that I love myself. And realizing all the ways that I didn't love myself and thinking that that was normal or that was just the way it was meant to be. So my 30s took me in a whole other direction. Yeah, it was amazing and I loved it, and at the same time it was very intense because I had to face everything about myself that I didn't love, everything about myself and the ways that I treated myself poorly or made poor choices or chose unhealthy relationships based on patterns from my childhood. It took a long time to let go of influences from my past that I thought were me, but were not me. And it took a long time to discern the difference and remember who I really am because of how I really feel instead of these habits that are easy to just click into because they're just deeply rooted. Yeah, it ended up taking a decade to heal all of that. And it was just ongoing. And I wanted to come out and party and play and do certain things, and I did, just in little spurts and little bits and bleeps and bits in here. And I pursued the art and the singing and held on to my dreams, but it would just come out in these amounts and splashes, and thank God, as an artist, it's a blessing. But then that nagging feeling was always coming on in the background, going, it's time to go home, it's time to deal with us. How could I be in that world? How could I be in the world? How can I integrate into the world if I'm carrying all this pain with me from my past? Issues of abuse, issues of low self-esteem, low self-worth. How could I start a career or be married or have relationships with that heavy weight of not knowing even how to love myself or knowing how to function in the world, let alone knowing how to function as me? So even my friendships at that time in my life were at a distance because I was in so much emotional, mental pain. And sometimes I would have, I had strong symptoms remaining from the ulcer, but I didn't have an ulcer anymore, for absolute clarity. With friendships, I was in so much pain that I couldn't give the way I wanted to. I needed me. I couldn't give to a point. I needed me. It was depending on my life in an emotional, mental, spiritual, deep nourishment way, making up for giving myself everything that I felt I lacked in or everything that I didn't get, growing up, and giving that to myself and finding my way and not knowing what to do. Oh yeah, it really sharpening intuition skills. Oh my God. So, yeah, when it came to friendships, I kept them at a distance. I didn't want to on the deepest level, but I really couldn't participate in friendships the way that I wanted to. I could in little doses, but not full on, My life just was in this place, holding my life in this place to where this is the way I had to walk or had to tread. And if I tried to go any further than that, it would just bring me right back to me. If I tried to pursue a career or, a certain kind of outside thing that I thought would make me happy, according to me, that's success, how I was feeling, it would lead me right back to home. It would lead me right back to me. Face yourself, Natalia. So my 30s ended up being pretty much this journey of unraveling all the abuse and remembering myself. And I mean, how many chapters, how many layers, how many ways could I talk about it? That pretty much says it all right there. But it happened for 10 years, so it happened in so many ways. I'm still taking steps coming out into the world, so I'm still getting to know myself. I'm always learning how to get to know myself as a being. It's just, I'm also getting to know myself integrated into the world again, after having taken such a break from it, and after having had to go through so many changes of my own sort, where, I had to pull away from the world because I had so much madness of my own. I couldn't take much more. When the shop needs to be fixed, you put a close sign up and say, come back later due to renovation. That was me for the last 10 years. Oh, gosh, so, yeah, I still think about career, of course, and it's not that it's gone completely, it's just the absolute priority has been taking care of my soul and taking care of my emotional and mental state so I can be in the world in a very healthy place. It takes a long time to unravel old abuse. So I see myself successful in the wisdom and the experience that I've gained of living in the woods, living in the jungle, living off the grid, taking a break from the world, unplugging and not listening to the radio and not watching TV, not having media, very, 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 using the internet probably 8 times in 8 years. That's it. Going raw, going vegan, breaking relationship patterns, and then just when I had so many moments where I thought this is it, I'm done, I'm coming out, and I'm going to play. And then there was something else about me that I needed to deal with, before I could really, really, really fully come out healthy and not like a wounded artist. And then one of those things was, I'd been through so much, I'd healed so much. My relationship with my mom got so much better, and then she died, and then that just threw me for a complete other journey, which included grief, which I'd never felt quite to that degree, not in that way. So my 30s have been highly occupied with cleaning up my life and healing myself and finding my strength and finding myself again and reinstating my imprint and my, why I'm here in this world and really knowing why I'm here. So, yeah, that's been my 30s.